In discussions about Afghanistan in this committee and the Armed Services Committee, there's analysis, as there should be, about the withdrawal and was it planned correctly. But I've not yet in any of my committees, and I'm not aware of it really happening in the Senate, of significant discussions in committee hearings about maybe the most pressing issue with respect to the Afghanistan withdrawal. We have brought tens of thousands of Afghans safely into the United States. They're in New Jersey, they're in Virginia, they're in New Mexico, they are in Indiana, they're in Wisconsin. I have visited two of the sites in Virginia. Quantico has about 5,000 Afghans on its base right now. Fort Lee has about 2,000. Fort Pickett has about 10,000. And I actually think the biggest marker of the success or failure of the Afghan evacuation is going to be the work that we do as a nation to help these families transition into being successful parts of American society. So my worry is I'm not hearing that as a focus of committee discussions. Some of the resettlement effort is owned by the State Department. The DHS is now the lead agency on the effort. Most of the Afghans who are not SIVs, they're in a humanitarian parole situation that will need some adjustment at the end of a 2-year period, and that would likely go through the Judiciary Committee. There's tremendous needs of the resettlement agencies. Those would likely be handled via appropriations. But I'm kind of wondering, from a Senate oversight of this critical mission going forward, I'd love it if this committee might have a hearing about the resettlement effort looking forward and what we're going to do for these families, or a number of the committees doing it together, because I think this is absolutely critical. When I went to Fort Lee at the end of August, right at the beginning of the evacuation, the plan at that time, and families were being told this, is that they might be on a military base for 10 days to 2 weeks. When I went to Quantico last Monday, a week ago, this past Monday, the families were being told they might be there for 3 to 4 weeks. There were 5,000 Afghans on that base. They were letting 50 depart that day, and I just did my math. Okay, 50 depart every day, that's 100 days. That's 3 or 4 months, not 3 or 4 weeks. It's all depending upon the resettlement agency's ability to find jobs and housing. Finding jobs in a tight labor market. I had a barbecue restaurant in Richmond call me the other day and say, I want to hire some Afghans, because if I can't hire Afghans, I'm not able to hire anybody. There are some market conditions right now that could make a resettlement effort maybe easier than it would be at a time when the unemployment rate is high. But I'm just worried in the discussions about Afghanistan that we've had beginning in late August to now, I don't see a kind of organized discussion with a big spotlight on what do we need to do to successfully enable tens of thousands of Afghans to resettle and lead productive lives. And again, I don't know whether the Foreign Relations Committee is the right venue for that, or would it be HISCAC, or would it be Judiciary, or would it be, appropriations? But I'm feeling a compelling need that we should be about it, because that work is going to be so tough. But the prospects of it being successful ultimately might be the most memorable thing about the end of the Afghan war. So I don't know if you have thoughts about that. I'm just kind of throwing it out there. I hope this committee might be able to take up this matter, maybe in tandem with other committees.
Well, I thank the senator for his observations. I agree with you. We have 9,000 in New Jersey. I visited them at the McGuire Dix Lakehurst. And the process, as I understand it, it doesn't seem to be the labor opportunities. That seems to be a real opportunity. As you point out, it's the housing element that seems to be a challenge across the country. But to the extent that the committee has jurisdiction, I'm happy to consider it. And to the extent that it exceeds our jurisdiction, we're happy to engage with other committees to see if we can have either a joint hearing or at least create attention to what we do moving forward. So
I very much appreciate that. I have one question for you.
I'm happy to speak to this briefly if you wish, Senator Kaine, but I don't want to chew up your time.
Well, yeah, let me just ask you one question. The State Department has a health incidents response task force looking at the Havana syndrome issues. The previous leader of that task force left on September 23rd. And as far as I know, State has not appointed a new person to lead that task force. If I'm correct about that, Can you tell me that you will get a good director running that task force ASAP?
As I told Senator Shaheen, Secretary is expected to make an announcement about a new coordinator in the next day or two.